With the rise of ordinals and other BRC-20s on Bitcoin, this could be the potential DeFi moment for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and take a look at history and see what DeFi did to Ethereum. This is Uniswap when V2 went live. This is around May 2020. At the peak, after DeFi summer and all the crazy bull run, whatever, we ended up topping around $5,000 or almost $5,000 in ETH. Now, Bitcoin, this is when the BRC-20s dropped. They dropped in March of 2023. Now, if you take a look at the Bitcoin chart on March 2023, Ordinals actually came a little bit before that, but you can see here this came around the March 7th timeframe when Ordi, which is the very first BRC-20, this one dropped, and will be interesting to see how Bitcoin plays out. The reason why I say this is let's go and put the marketplace into perspective. You have Bitcoin, which has $409 million in BRC-20 market cap, compared to the ETH ERC-20 market cap, which is $152 billion. So it's over 300x larger. Now, in this video, I want to go over why I believe this moment with Ordinals and BRC-20s is like the DeFi moment is on Ethereum. In this video, I want to explain why BRC-20s and Ordinals is like the DeFi moment for Bitcoin. If you guys are new to BRC-20s as well as Ordinals and you want to get started with this is the video for you. This will explain to you how to get started, play around with a couple of these marketplaces, and see how you can kind of, dabble around and see what you can do. Of course, yes, there is potential for airdrops, especially for two projects in particular. You have unisat.io and then you have Ordinals wallet. I'll be leaving links in the description below so you guys can check out both of those. Now, if you guys check out some of the previous videos I made on Ordinals as well as BRC-20s, it kind of gives you a little bit of a better understanding. So let's go ahead and go over the first website. If you guys have never started with Ordinals, you've never started with any of these projects, and you don't really understand it at all, that's okay. Let's take a look at Unisat. This is one for a place to start with BRC-20s. In my opinion, Unisat is one of the best places for BRC-20s because Unisat also allows you to mint them directly through the website. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the BRC-20s that are in progress. If you haven't minted any of these, I would recommend doing this while gas fees are low. You can go to a website called mempool.space. Don't worry, I'll put the description below. This basically tells you the going gas rate for the different Bitcoin blocks. As you can see here, on average, it's about 39 sats. The lower end being 33, the higher end being 555 sats per VByte. You probably don't need to do 555, but if you want to make sure it gets into the next block, probably look for around 3940, and that makes sure it gets into the second block unless there's a crazy gas spike. As you can see here, the previous one, the minimum was 19, the minimum here was 41, the minimum 17. This is just how to play with the mempool. Now going back over to Unisat, if you haven't minted any, I would recommend minting a couple of them just to see how this works. You first start by getting a Unisat wallet. You can get an Xverse wallet, whatever you want. But this, as you can see here, 87% of these are minted. When it's 100%, it's all minted out. You can't mess with it. Now you see this blue bar. This shows confirmed between 1 hour and 24 hours. You can choose to front run them if you want to up the gas, but in my opinion, it's probably not necessary for this type of token, EXP9. I really don't know what's behind it. I mean, anyone can make their own BRC-20 and just launch it out. Now, that's why you want to be careful because literally anyone can do this, so you're just going to be wasting gas to mint this. I would not recommend doing that. Later in this video, I'll share with you guys a couple of tips, as well as a couple of them that I'm looking at. And if you want to go into more detail on the ones that I'm looking at, you guys can join the Discord. The link's in the description below. I basically tell you what I'm doing in the market, and you can also chat with a bunch of other DeFi degens just like you. But if you guys are new to BRC-20s and Ordinals, I highly recommend doing your own research and looking into these projects before you join any Discord groups, because you'll probably hear the information be like, how do I set up Unisat? Well, do some research first, understand how this works, and then you can take steps further. So as you can see here, this is where you can mint this. This shows the different wallets that hold this. This guy holds 20%. It could be team tokens because they maybe distributed a big portion to them in the beginning. It could have been a founder that was like, hey, look, we're releasing this token, didn't tell anyone, minted a bunch of them. And there's nothing wrong with that if they're going to give it out in distributions later down the road. I'll give you an example of a token, in my opinion, that I believe is legit. It's behind BitGod. He's a dude on Twitter, and he actually created 0xBT. That's what this orange square thing is. So if you see this orange square on Twitter, this is the movement he started. It's basically getting other Ethereum maxis or like Ethereum NFT players or even like Solana, like the D-Gods, and bringing them over to Bitcoin. It's basically just kind of like orange pilling them type of thing. But this is BitGod. He's got a lot of followers. He's got 130K. This guy's a legend. So let's show you how to mint this. I already set up the Unisat wallet. Easy to do. Now, all you do is you click mint and you choose how many you want to mint. If you want to mint this 10 times, 20 times, 90 times, 100 times, you can do that. But it's basically going to make multiple transactions. So if I do this 100 times, the gas is going to be high because I'm minting this 100 different times. I already get more than 100 tokens. As you can see here, every time I mint, I'm going to go ahead and get 1,953,125 tokens. So I'm getting that many tokens every time I just mint it once. In fact, I'm going to get 1,953,000,000. You guys get the point. It's a lot of tokens. So let's go ahead and zoom this up and whoops. Let's go ahead and show you guys what this looks like. So we're going to go ahead and mint. We're going to hit next. And you're going to scroll down and hit next again. It'll show you how much gas you're going to spend. You can do the economy, you can do normal, you can do custom. Make sure you refer back to this and check this out. You don't want to get to the point where like, hey, I'm going to be cheap and like barely mint any, especially when it's close to minting out, because there is a chance it gets stuck in the min pool and then someone front runs you. You just waste all this gas right here, which is, I'm minting it 100 times. So $278 just vaporized, gone, because someone front ran me and I don't get any tokens. So if you're doing this, I would recommend customizing it. Depending on how hot the mint is, I would do like 10 gwei above the average, which the average right here is 41. I would probably do like 50, 55. And this is if the token is about to mint out. Now, if it's something like Sats, which is, it's one of the very early tokens, but it's not even close to minting out. So as you can see here, Sats, they have the most amount of holder, but only 6% of these are minted. The reason for that is every mint you only get 100 million. But as you can see here, there is a massive supply. This is 6, 9, a million, billion, trillion. There's 2.1 quadrillion tokens. So there has to be a ton of mints in order to mint this out. You can mint this if you want. You can mess around with it, whatever. The reason why I'm talking about the minting portion is this is one of the things that I believe is going to be a factor if Unisat does an airdrop. The reason why I think they're going to do an airdrop is, I mean, that's Ordinals wallet already did a airdrop. This could potentially be their token right here, USAT. As you can see here, there's only one holder basically of all these tokens. I don't know. It's just speculation. It may not happen. Who knows? Anyways, that's Unisat. That's how you can mess around with BRC-20s. You can also check out their marketplace and check out some of the other tokens as well. Some of the pretty popular ones is obviously Ordi. Ordi is the very first mover advantage. As you can see here, you go to the BRC-20s. Very first one that minted out, has a good amount of holders. You can also toggle based on the holders to see what's up. 0xBT, this is by BitGod. This is the one that just minted out on 5/11. You could have minted this for about $12, $13 depending on the gas fees. The amount of tokens that you minted out, if you minted, let's call it 1,000 of them, you basically could have gotten at like $300 for free at its peak. Now, if you minted like 10,000 of them, whatever, you could have gotten obviously more. It would be like $2,000. But still, it was like $12, $13 for the gas fee. And holders were handsomely rewarded from this, especially the early adopters. And BitGod, he chose and whitelisted, selected or select projects on basically some of the ordinals. And you can see here, these are some of the different projects. Already in a previous video, I talked to you guys about the projects that I really like. If you guys watched that video and you grabbed a couple of them, like Bitcoin Frogs, for example, you're probably up like a 4 or 5x. If you grabbed a Dogepunk, you'd be up like 2, 3x. And actually, BTC viruses, those at its peak went to 0.02 Bitcoin. That would have given you, because we saw them at 0.003, that would have given you like a 6.5x. But yeah, these things took off. They did extremely well. Obviously, you got to take profits. You can't just ride them out. I mean, BTC Land at its peak did a 5x. It went from less than 0.01 to about 0.005. Yeah, there's a couple of different ordinals. I really like some of these. The main ones, again, just like a quick, just going and giving a brief overview. I like Bitcoin Frogs. Really cool. The classic Ribbit. It's got a really strong community. Just check out the previous video for more details. Really like the BTC machine community. They're fire. The BTC machines include the survivors. You got the BTC mutant machines. You got the BTC virus. You got the BTC land. You got the operators. Where are they? Let's see. Command upper. Yeah, BTC operators. You got a bunch of these guys. Some other ones that I really like is the Pixel Pepes and the Soy Pepes and the Space Pepes. These are basically all under one community, which is the Ordinals wallet. Ordinals wallet actually airdropped Pixel Pepes to any of the people that used Ordinals wallet, which is the website we're on right now. This is literally the website. It's ordinalswallet.io. .com, ordinalswallet.com. And people were on here, and anyone who made a single transaction literally got one of those airdropped to them. And at its peak, it was worth like 0.35, 0.4 Bitcoin. So it's like $10,000, $15,000 just airdropped to you. But anyways, yeah, so that's something to check out on this. Ordinals wallet, same junk, different day with Unisat. It has BRC-20s as well. But in my opinion, the Unisat marketplace is the best for the BRC-20s. And Ordinals wallet, in my opinion, is the best for the collections. You can click on any of these, select, it actually shows the volume, the floor price, the 24-hour volume, the total volume, the amount listed, the total supply. You want to look for a low listed and a relatively lowish, middle-ish supply. And you also want to look for a low inscription number. That's one other feature I want to talk to you guys about Ordinals, as well as these Bitcoin inscriptions. You can see here this is 381,000. Now, there is actually a category that's sub 100K. So any of the Ordinals that's sub 100K gets to go inside this collection, as well as their own collection itself. So for example, you have the Planetary Ordinals, which is sub 10K. So they're going to get the sub 10K and sub 100K, and they're going to get their own. The reason why it's important to look at those categories is, in my opinion, the sub 10K and sub 100K are typically always going to be at the top, because if it's going to be getting a lot of transaction volume, or it has a high Bitcoin price, the 7-day volume is always going to be juiced, and it's going to show at the top. And then you also want to look at the active community collections, which is something like Bitcoin Frogs or like Bitcoin Machines. Go in their Discord and you'll be like, what the snap did I walk into? It's nuts. They message like every single second. Bitcoin Frogs, I love the vibes of them. These are just different things you want to look for. NFTs, they're more so about the community. At least that's what I've learned. But there are plenty other diehard NFT fans. You can take a look into them, follow them, look at their tips. They know much more about NFTs than I do. This is just something that I have picked up on just watching, learning, and just viewing. You have Ordinals Wallet, you have Unisat. You can play around with these, use these, and to set up a wallet, it's super easy. So if you go onto Ordinals Wallet, you literally go onto the wallet section. You can do connect wallet, create wallet, whatever you want. We're going to say Ordinals Wallet, and we're going to say, hey, look, I want to create a new wallet. You choose your password. Oh, I shouldn't do random. I should actually do something. because I gotta copy that. And we'll set up a password, generate the seed phrase, and then we get a nice old seed phrase. You can do whatever you want with this. I'm not even using this wallet, and then you go ahead and input it in, and then boom, you'll have your wallet. Once you get your wallet up, now you need to receive some Bitcoin. You basically get this little QR code. You scan this. You can use this from an exchange like MEXC. MEXC is pretty cheap. It's like 0.0003 Bitcoin for a withdrawal. You can use Cash App. Cash App does free. You can use several other exchanges of your choice, what you want. You literally get that address, you scan it, send the funds there, and now you have funds in your wallet. And you can simply click on any of these collections that you want, just like the BRC-20s, and choose to buy them. So let's do this one, for example. We got Pepe and Pepita. So let's go ahead and take a look at some of these for sale. If I wanted to buy this, I would click Buy Now, and it would ask for the password, yada, yada, yada. And this would say this is the purchase amount, and this is going to be the market fee because you have the marketplace fee. And then it's going to give the gas, and it's going to say, hey, look, you can buy this now for this price, yada, yada, yada. I don't want a Pepe and Pepita. I'll probably be looking back at this video and being like, man, I should have bought one. But hey, I'm just showing you how to use the marketplace and mess around with it. Now, there are some other things you can look at, like Bitcoin stamps. These are the BRC-20s. If you don't understand Ordinals wallet, Unisat, or even how to fund a Bitcoin wallet, I would not recommend getting into this. I believe this will have a strong standing in the future, but this is more of even more speculation than the others because there's not even a marketplace for the BRC-20s. But I do believe stamps has a bright future. I also think that the .sats names also has a bright future. I made a video on that if you want to check it out. But if you guys are first getting into this space, don't overwhelm yourself. I tried that. I got overwhelmed. I didn't get it. I was like, what the snap am I doing? Take it one step at a time. Choose to start with BRC-20s. Choose to start with Ordinals. Pick one of them. Learn how to use them. And then you can take a step further. Right now, what I would recommend doing is at least using Ordinals wallet as well as Unisat and just playing around with both of the websites, making some purchases, making some sells. You don't even have to buy a bunch. And even on Ordinals wallet, they got a donate button. Donate some funds to them. It's probably going to be a part in the airdrop allocation. Who knows? Have some fun, use these things, and understand the world of Bitcoin DeFi. Let's go ahead and put this into perspective again so you guys can understand where I'm coming from. As you can see here, this is the BRC-20 market cap. This is the ERC-20 market cap. It allows for a lot of room for mistakes. Now, when you're going and shopping around and looking for some BRC-20s, look for ones with a strong community as well as a strong team behind them. You want a good team and a good community. Just a couple of them, just looking at this, you can go with the early ones and they also make up for mistakes. One of those, for example, is Ordi. The internet is slow right now and it's probably because I'm recording, whatever. But Ordi is one of those that is, in my opinion, a good idea to at least take a look at. The reason why I say Ordi is because Ordi is the first mover. So if you don't want to do some research and you don't want to look into it, Ordi is a good place to start, at least to have exposure to BRC-20s. This is kind of like the Bitcoin of BRC-20s. So if Ordi goes down, typically the others follow. Now, I'm not saying that's the case, but that's just one of those factors you need to keep in play. I really like 0xBT. This is like representing the BRC-20s in the Bitcoin movement. And this is all behind this one dude called Bitcoin. Now, that's what this orange square is that you see here. This orange square is basically his it's the movement. That's what this stands for. Just something to keep in mind. And there are other people that are flipping to this orange square. Just go on Bitcoin's Twitter and take a look at some of the converted, I guess you can say, ETH people. But you can see here's Frank DeGods. This guy has almost 200K followers. He flipped orange. He was on one of his Twitter spaces. He's like, hey, how do we get some BRC-20s? He's getting into BRC-20s as well. When that happens, it's their communities that are now coming over here and playing around after they realize, oh snap, this is where we should have been the whole time. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just saying, take a look into this. It's going to be extremely volatile. It's still early. It could go to zero. It could do well. It's the early days. We'll see what happens. And if you take a look at the Ethereum chart and what it did in the early days, you can see here that it had extreme volatility. Where at one point it came from $10 to over 1,000 and all the way back down to 150. From peak to trough, I mean, it was a 15x, but if you bought at the peak at 1,500 and you're down at 150, you're down 90%. So you got to factor that in. Don't FOMO. Just take a look into it, research it, play around with it a bit. If you remember the Arbitrum airdrop was, depending on how much you spent and how much you played with, was significantly, it handsomely rewarded its early adopters and early users. I could see the same happening for Unisat as well as the BRC-20s on Ordinals wallet and whatnot. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let's hit you guys with a wisdom one-liner. We're going to hit you guys with Proverbs chapter 10, verses 2. Ill-gotten treasures have no lasting value, but righteousness delivers from death. Be good, be righteous, stay safe, play around with these. I hope this guide helped so you guys can understand it. And make sure you guys give BitGod a follow. Take a look and see what he is doing. This guy was one of the early adopters. If you guys run into him, make sure you greet him and say, bro, keep doing what you're doing. He is one of those guys in the space that we want to see do well, and he is doing extremely well. If you guys want to stay up to date on the markets and see what I'm doing in the markets and see which BRC-20s as well as Ordinals I'm looking at, you guys can join the Discord. It's the Patreon link in the description below, and we will see you in the next one.